3, 2, 1.
Take one.
Hi, I'm Adam.
And I'm the bee.
And together,
We're Adam and the Bee. Welcome to our very first introduction.
that was your cue to like get in there and just go get it, girl.
Too much caffeine.
Let's try this again.
But just smile away, boys. Smile away.
Hi, I'm Adam.
And I'm the bee.
And together,
We're
Adam and the Bee.
We wanted to give you guys all the cheese right from the start because that's what you can expect from all of our episodes going forward.
You got me blushing.
You got me blushing. So we are Adam and the Bee, and we are so excited. We've been wanting to do this podcast for quite some time, and here we are today. So thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah. So what is Adam and the Bee about? Let's start with that, right?
Right. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Yeah, why don't we tell our viewers or listeners a little about ourselves?
Yeah, so I was raised in Ohio and moved out to Los Angeles. O-H. I-O. You've been trying to plug that in wherever you can.
I finally got it though.
So about 5 years ago, moved to Los Angeles. I am a musician, artist, writer, engineer. I mean, when you're independent like that, as you know, like you wear so many different hats. But the beautiful thing is it gives you more creative control with what you do. So, so we met 3 years ago.
Yeah, right.
I should know
Almost.
that. Our anniversary
Well,
coming
actually,
up.
it's been 3 years. Yeah.
Ish.
Well, 3 years since we met.
True. So we're at year number 3. So anyway, we met as neighbors, of course, and that's how we fell in love. So that's the beginning of our love story, and lots more to come, of course.
Yeah.
And so how did you get to Los Angeles?
So my name is BINX, and I'm also known as the African Bee, which is my alter ego, therefore the bee outfit for today. And I'm originally from South Africa, and I moved to the States about 8 years ago, lived in New York for about 5 years, and I've been in Los Angeles, in Hollywood for about 3 years now. And like you said, we met right as I moved here. And most of my time in Los Angeles has been in quarantine. So it does not feel like I've been here very long because, we've got so much more to explore here. But the good news is we've had a little bit more time to delve into our Adam and the Bee podcast. So that brings us to today. But I'm also a writer, producer, performer, pop musician. So I've been doing the pop music thing for as far back as I can remember. And yes, so we met as neighbors and we fell in love and we started making music together. And now we're taking that to the next level and we are doing our podcast. Boom. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about Adam and the Bee podcast and why we specifically chose the name Adam and the Bee?
Yeah, so Adam and the Bee really comes down to, at least from the way that I looked at it, was a play on Adam and Eve, where we're two individuals that really thirst for knowledge, and
Right.
from an individual standpoint, that goes into our art, that goes into the music that we make, and then just the way that we have an overall view on life. But then also from a relationship standpoint, like I feel like we've done such an amazing job investing time and energy into really planting a seed and watching that grow from a relationship standpoint. So it's really like two-sided.
Totally. That's like the perfect way to describe. Sorry, we've got some frogs in studio.
You should be proud of me. I did that in like 30
That
seconds.
was
To a minute.
incredible.
That's like record breaking.
New record.
Thank you.
So what you guys can expect from this podcast is we're going to dive into topics that are closest to us, So we're going to be talking about music. We're going to be talking about pop culture. We're going to be talking about relationships because we're two musicians, two independent artists, and we're in a relationship. And we thought that would be quite interesting to discuss and, learn from each other and learn from you guys. So we're very excited to see where this takes us.
Let's do it, girl.
All right, let's do this.
All right. We had an idea where we wanted to come up with a word and really
word of the week.
Yes, and expand upon how that like touched our relationship. So our first word is going to be compromise.
I was going to say, should we say it on 3, 2, 1? But anyway, moving on.
Oops.
So our word of the week is compromise. And we thought what would be really fun is if we shared a story on how we compromised recently in our relationship, and you guys could share with us how you may have compromised in your relationship or in your life for anything you want.
And the funnier, the better, right?
That's correct. Funnier the better.
Absolutely. So, with that said, let's talk about a specific scenario that we had when it came to we recently moved in, right?
Right. So we moved in last year. What was it? September, I think.
August, September,
Somewhere around there.
debatable.
And we had the privilege of going to shop for our very first couch.
But before that, briefly, as neighbors, there was this like dilemma of like at what point is the right point to move in, right? So we had that whole discussion on like we're already 20 yards away from each other. So like it was just like finding that balance of when is the right time. So, you know, when there's a pandemic, that's always the right time, right?
You're making it sound like that was the reason.
It's not. No, I mean, we were 2 years in at that point and it felt right. So with that said, going into the whole compromise section, um, we started couch shopping, right? That was one of the first and actually the biggest purchase that you and I have jumped in together on.
It was a big purchase. It was very, very stressful. I don't know if you've ever bought a couch, but it is
Bought a nice couch. It's different if you're like in college and you're doing a
right.
futon, like you just buy
Right.
it.
But this was one of those things where you think, well, I'm gonna go out and get a couch and gonna get it in a minute. I'm gonna pick out a color and pick out the couch that's comfiest and that's it. We went to the couch shop about, I don't know, maybe 4 to 5 times, sitting on every couch imaginable, touching every fabric. And it's your first sort of purchase together, so you're kind of combining different
Style.
flavors, styles, tastes.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting.
So on my side, I was super excited. There were about 150 couches it felt like that we jumped in and off of. And there were some good ones. But there
So
was
you
one.
wanted so
Can
Adam,
I gotta say
you
this
gotta
part.
go
I'm
go for
sorry.
it,
I
go
gotta
for
say
it.
this one. So I found the typical man cave couch, which I was
Typical man
completely
cave couch.
ecstatic to have. I was like, this is it. This is home. This is it. It's the couch. Now, mind you, we're in a two-bedroom apartment, and this couch was huge. Like this was like meant for like a theater room in your basement in your mansion,
The couch would have been the apartment.
which is what I wanted. I wanted it to feel like a jungle gym in the house.
Right.
So like you sink in this couch, I fell in love a second time, like next to you, of course, because you were
Right.
next to me in that
Right.
moment.
I was the rebound.
It was this beautiful union of the three of us, the couch, you and myself. But I was in love with it, and then what happened?
So you wanted the man cave couch. I wanted the typical like womanly couch that every girl wants that just matches everything. Nice light color. It doesn't take up too much space. But we went through a lot of push and pull. Uh, and to be fair, the store seller, the seller of the shop,
The
he
best seller.
sided with me. The guy even said to Adam, if he's like, what did he say? He was like, if you want to get divorced or broken up with or something, like he was like, you don't you he's like let's just save everybody time. I don't want you taking this couch and bringing it back to me a week later, because he knew the amount of women that came back, that the amount of men that bought the couch, and the women made the man return the couch.
100%.
So we somehow found a happy medium with a
Yes.
size, color, and we finally got our couch after so many months.
And I mean, it was still a huge ordeal because of like with all the lockdowns and everything, the
It
shipping was
was.
delayed, and
So
so
we
we're
didn't
sitting in
have a
an
couch
empty
for 3
apartment for the
months.
first few months, but
Right.
it worked out. We had other rooms to hang out in.
We did, but we found the compromise in
Oh yeah, that's what this was about.
I know, we just completely got sidetracked, but that's what we do. We completely dither. This is why we have such interesting conversations, because we don't even remember the point of why we started this. But we compromised on the fact that this was our first couch. It's the first thing you see when you come into the apartment. How do you feel like you compromised?
The color was definitely. I'm
You picked the
typically
color,
used to
right?
Initially, I like darker colors, and then this one was lighter, and so I
Right, so
thought, "Hey, let's open the mind to the cream," and
that's true. So I picked light because I actually
yeah,
wanted white, but I
yeah,
realized white was not the correct color to
yeah,
get. So we settled on cream, because Adam was talking about how white will get so dirty.
yeah,
And then you picked the fabric, and I was so happy with the fabric that you picked. It was soft. And so once I picked the sort of shade, you picked the fabric.
mhm,
We were pretty set on the size together.
yeah.
Um, but we just decided to go for that couch. So I think that was it. We kind of compromised. You pick one thing, I pick one thing, and the size just came.
But the biggest lesson to me was open communication in that moment, right? Like, at the end of the day, knowing what you prioritize and what you value, like, you obviously wanted a lighter color, and, um, I definitely wanted a certain quality of couch, and so we ultimately listened to each other's feedback, we were open, receptive,
Right.
and that's what allowed for us to have this
We were
beautiful, amazing
very
couch.
open-minded, and I think that's so important with compromise is being open-minded. You know, you have to understand that someone's viewpoints are not gonna match yours, and where can you meet in the middle? And we kinda made fun with it, you know, we shopped around, we
Yeah.
made it an event, we played with it, it wasn't so serious. But we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
We have a mystery card, and I'm so
Mm,
excited about this because we thought each week we could each pick a card and ask a question from this deck of cards
I like it.
and just see what answers we come up with, just to keep this a little spontaneous and interesting.
Real quick before we jump into that,
Oh,
I
yes.
wanna highlight this. So we made these dalgonas right before because it was like a TikTok, Instagram craze.
Right.
Mine did not turn out very well. That happens. So if you see me like bitterly like drinking this like poisonous coffee, that's the
Poison.
dalgona that my girlfriend made me.
Oh, no, no,
This is
no, that was
mine.
yours.
You made mine, I made yours.
Well,
Let's be
your
fair here.
ratios were off, but I actually made these a few days ago for the first time ever, and they
They
were
were
so
perfect.
good. So we thought, why not have it in our first podcast? So
Well,
cheers
yeah,
to our
cheers.
dalgonas, and needed a little caffeine kick.
Beauty and the Beast, right?
So onto the mystery card. So I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to answer it as honestly as possible.
Let's do it.
Okay. So the question is, what is the best compliment you've ever received?
The best compliment I have ever received. Um,
What's on the top of your head, I guess? What's the first thing that you think of?
you have nice eyes. I don't know. That's kind of I would take that as a compliment
I
for
mean, that's a
sure.
great compliment. You have got beautiful eyes. I would say that mine was a compliment you gave me, and you told me I was a genius. And I don't think anyone's ever said
That's very
something
true.
so amazing because
But you
you
are a genius.
I mean, so are you. So but I think
Great
that was
minds
really
think alike.
special just because someone was complimenting how your mind works, and I think that's a very attractive thing. Okay, so we just wrapped up talking about compromise in a relationship, and we would love to know your thoughts on how you've compromised in a relationship. We'd love to read them out in the next podcast, so get those in so we can read the funniest stories,
Yeah, the
or
funnier the better,
the
right?
funnier the better. So if you have any way that you've compromised in your relationship, we would love to hear it. And so the next thing that we're going to talk about is the thing we do best, or probably
Yes.
not best, because right, you know what I'm saying.
No.
Me neither. So we're gonna talk about music.
That's spoken
The
like a
only
true
language
artist.
I
Like
understand.
the spoken like a true artist. Like the thing we do best. Do we do it the best? I know we can always do better.
Exactly, and
Every song.
musicians are the most indecisive people probably, or at least we are. So very exciting. We're gonna talk about music and someone who's been very inspiring to the two of us. So I actually
Yes.
learned about this person through Adam, and also known as AKA Mada Atoms.
Yes.
So I learned about Russ through Adam.
And
He's a
yeah.
You go
Uh
ahead.
sorry, jumped
No,
right in there.
you're absolutely fine.
I don't honestly even know how I got a hold of like Russ's first body of work, but let's just jump into some of the facts real quick, and then we'll hop into how that relates to us and our music, right?
Right, so
So Russ, better known by his stage name Russ, is an American. I'm completely reading this wrong. Is an American rapper, singer, songwriter, record producer, and author from Atlanta, Georgia. He is best known for his singles "What They Want," "Losing Control," and "Best on Earth," which peaked respectively at 83, 63, and 46 on the Billboard Hot 100. After years of releasing albums, mixtapes, and singles for free online, Russ released his 12th studio album, There's Really a Wolf, in 2017 through Columbia Records. It was certified platinum on April 18th, 2018. So fast forward, multiple albums,
Please tune
completely
in next week for the next autobiographical or
chapter
biographical
two.
reading of Russ's story.
There's a lot here. There's a lot here, but
So essentially, he's
yeah,
a hip hop artist who's very inspiring
but
because
why,
he's an
right?
independent artist,
DIY. That's the best way to describe
right?
us.
And he is
What does
a
DIY mean?
do it
Do it yourself. There
yourself,
it is.
and he's extremely hardworking.
Yes. What I think resonated most for me, like seeing Russ's story, is he's somebody that broke through the industry where so many people have been like restricted because of resources, right? And he's the kind of person that just said, "Hey, if I don't have the resources, I'm going to be more resourceful." So ultimately, that led to him being forced to produce his own music, and then write his own music, and then engineer his own music, and master his own music, and shoot his own videos. So that whole concept is, to me, what social media is really all about, is like self empowerment, um, for your art, because at the end of the day, like, we should be in control of what we want to see and what we want to create. And the old paradigm has really shifted from that to where it was so heavily controlled, and at this point there's so much freedom.
Right. And the cool thing about Russ is what caught my attention from him as well is he actually blew up. So he's independent, right? And
Yeah.
he blew up through a strategy that is so fascinating to us where he put out a song a week for I don't have the exact facts, I'm sure it's on the wiki, but for almost 2 years or somewhere 2.5 years,
Yeah.
somewhere around there, he
I
put out a
found it.
single a week. And this guy didn't have promotion, he didn't have a budget, as far as we know, allegedly.
Yeah. Never know.
And he was putting out a song a week, and I think the 96th or the 92nd song, he put out about 11 albums prior to this,
Yeah.
and he blew up on the song called What They Want, which was like somewhere around his 90 something song, which is so interesting because if he had given up a song before, I think he said it. You said he said it in an interview. No one would have known who he was
Yeah.
if he had given up one song before that release. And I mean, to some, it may sound like it is extremely exhausting to release a song a week. That takes a lot of effort. I mean, you can't have a day job, I'm sure, doing that. It's a lot of effort, a lot of
Yeah.
commitment, but I'm really, really moved by that because I love people that are hardworking, that are independent, and he promoted it through just his socials, and he didn't have a social media following either. So it's a really beautiful story. So I mean, what's your take on
Yeah.
releasing a song a week? Is that and we want to know from you guys, releasing a song a week. If you're a musician or if you're not a musician, what is your take on that? Do you think too much is too much, or I mean, it worked for him. So should other artists try that, doing a song a week, or should it be less is more, keep the people wanting more? What do you think?
So you hit the nail on the head in a roundabout way. Like, the less is more concept, when you look at the ability to get your message through with the most simple production, right? So, like, if you look at his body of work, a lot of his stuff is realistically streamlined to very quality sounds, but it's
Right.
minimalistic by nature. So I would say
The
that
quality is not lacking for
no, the
sure.
quality is incredible. The quality is incredible, but also the simplicity in the sense of um,
That's it.
really allowing the space in between the music and the
Knowing
instruments
where
to
to like
work.
draw the line, right?
Yeah.
Not overdoing a song.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's one of the biggest takeaways. Like, Dr. Dre, who I look up to immensely, like, he finds the best sonic quality and then still simplifies it in that same process. So, in many ways, Russ is just building off of what hip hop started with. Um, But I mean, we're also in a society where like
The
you
attention span
oh
is
my
so
gosh,
low.
it's ridiculous.
So it's like, do you keep in the forefront of everyone's mind by releasing a new song a week? Is
Not
it
do you, how can you, right?
how
Like
can
it's
you? Right.
because the headlines keep going. So like your favorite artist can drop an album right now, and then like before you even get through the full album, there's like 4,000 other artists that you could listen to in that window.
Right. So currently we are releasing songs every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You and I in our own individual artistry, we're releasing one song every 3 weeks. We're trying to ramp that up. You know, we're trying to sort of put our hands in different cookie jars right now, so it is tough, but um we're excited to know from you what you think about that. So let us know what you think. If that's too much, if that's a good strategy, we're just curious on your thoughts. And so our first song that we just released together, full on. I mean, we produce together, we write together, we've
Yeah.
been doing it. But so our theme song of this podcast is called Don't Make a Good Thing. It's our very first full blown collaboration where it's we wrote it together, produced it together, performed it together, and we wanted to talk about that a little
Yeah.
bit. We wanted to
Yeah.
talk about, you know, the behind the scenes of that song so that you know, when you hear it, you've got a little bit more insight.
Yeah. So let's go with the background of the song. So I think you were in the studio like laying down some chords. We had some ideas for to help with my album because I wanted to go in a direction that was
A little more pop.
more melodic, more pop oriented on this next round of work. And I came up with some stuff like on the headphones, and I was like, "Hey, check this out." But you started with the chords, and then I built off of that, and then you heard it and fell in love.
Well, I mean, I love everything he does, but I remember he was sitting in the studio, I was sitting working at my laptop. And I mean, this is kind of the story of all of our songs. Whenever I hear what he's doing, I want to jump in real quick. But
I love it.
I was sitting working and I heard him singing uh,
Good
Good
thing.
Thing, Good Thing.
That's all I had. Good
He had
thing,
Good
good
Thing.
thing, good thing,
And I
good thing.
immediately thought of, wow, like that sounds like it should say, Don't Make a Good Thing. And then we kind of built off of that, of kind of like not self sabotaging a relationship, right? So
100%.
we
Getting out of your own way and just letting love and letting that be the core instead of like the fears of is this going to work out or what's this going to be like or what will it look like down the road, and just being able to just accept and embrace the beauty of the connection.
absolutely. So the song was actually birthed at such a beautiful time because we were kind of going through the ebbs and flows of our relationship. And that's what captures a lot of the essence of the
Yeah.
lyrics because we were neighbors. When we first started dating, we weren't sure if we should be dating because we were neighbors.
Yeah.
I had just moved to LA, didn't really see myself dating. You had just gotten out of a relationship. And it was one of those things where, it was awkward because we were neighbors and we were trying to find our own way in our relationship. And then as we progressed in our relationship, we're musicians and now we work together. So now we're trying to navigate having a relationship and separating that from our business relationship because now we
Absolutely.
we work together. So we do
Yeah.
music, we do podcasts, and we work together like what 12 to 14 to 16 hours a day
Yeah.
together. So don't make a good thing is kind of that beautiful balance of don't self-sabotage your relationship. And we just thought, since it's our first full-on collaboration, our podcast is our first full-on collaboration as well
That's
in a
very true.
different uh area. So it
100%.
was a perfect little theme song.
Yeah, for me it's a lot about like letting go, you know?
Right.
In life there's so many things where like if you just let go and just trust the process, it
Have that
yields
leap of faith.
100%, and that's what yields the most fruit from those trees. So
Therefore, Adam and the bee, like Adam and Eve. Brings us all back to the very beginning, folks.
yeah, so I mean that's what we're here for, right? Is to bear more fruit and more creativity. And um yeah, I mean that song was the beginning. Like the beautiful thing is that was probably the most interesting dynamic for us to like work across two genres. And like at first I was rapping more on it, and then I
Right.
had to pull back and put a little bit of that pop flair into it.
Beautiful blend because there's a rap part in it. So we have pop from me and we have rap from you, and we kind of blended the two. And we're just very proud of it.
Absolutely. All right, so make sure to check out Don't Wreck a Good Thing. It's streaming everywhere, right?
Absolutely. It's everywhere. And we have our Spotify profiles where you can follow us individually and together.
Yeah.
So you can find me at BINX.
And what do you mean? Aren't you
Right.
BINX official?
No, no, Spotify's BINX.
Oh,
Okay.
Spotify. Dang Spotify.
And you are?
Mada Adam. I keep thinking like Instagram handles. MADAATOMS. That's Mada Adams because everyone is Mada Adams. Again, that's MADAATOMS.
Right. And
And
we
we'll
have
put that, yeah, we'll put that down in the description,
definitely
right?
everything will be in the description.
Yeah.
We also have our our Adam and the Bee Spotify, so you can follow us there at Adam and the Bee. We'll be releasing a lot more music there.
Yeah.
And socials, mine are BINX official, BINX official.
There you go.
And yours are?
You are official.
And so are you.
Oh no, I'm actually MADAATO. MADAATOMS. Mid Adams.
Right. And we're going to be trying to release the podcast as often as possible, but make sure to leave your comments about the music section, whether you think that strategy would be a great strategy, if it would work for independent artists, and let us know how you've compromised in your relationship.
And then most importantly, like if you're a DIY artist or if you're a DIY into your relationship, like how are you crafting your relationship or your art to get the best product or dynamic possible?
Right. And we're so excited. We're just starting the podcast, so we're open to new ideas. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't
Yeah.
like. And we are also taking music submissions. So if you are a musical artist, you can send us your music at
Mm,
adamandthebee@gmail.com. So send those music submissions through and you might be featured in our podcast.
boom.
And we're also going to be doing some musical interviews. So if you're interested in being featured on the podcast, feel free to send that over too.
Come find us. Check us out.
Thank you so much for tuning in. This was Adam and the Bee.
I'm Adam.
And I'm the Bee. And we'll
And
see you next
together
time.
we're Adam.
Right. Excellent. Goodbye.